I think there are a few themes that are as relevant, as timely, perhaps even as urgent as the future of work, what it looks like both from the perspective of companies as well as the perspective of workers today and tomorrow, and of course policymakers. So some of the key themes that I see emerging in this future of work, one of the biggest is actually the end of jobs and lifetime employment and a shift towards a whole new range of independent and flexible work arrangements. So jobs are becoming just work, and there's still a lot of work to be done, but it's going to be done in many, many different ways. So we see already a massive increase in the number of freelancers, the number of people working in the so-called gig economy, which provides lots of benefits in terms of flexibility and control, does have some downsides in terms of lack of social safety nets, but right now we're seeing the early stages of a series potentially of policy reforms around that, and companies and policymakers alike starting to think about that differently. So jobs giving way to work and lifetime employment becoming self-employment and flexible independent work arrangements is one theme. Another one is that it's actually never been easier or cheaper to be your own boss. And what that has meant for the rise of entrepreneurship, it does link to self-employment and that sort of thing, but the costs of being an entrepreneur and learning how to be entrepreneurial have never been lower. And this is opening up massive opportunities for people who may or may not have thought about themselves as an entrepreneur, but we're opening up a new universe of ways for people to earn income. That's another really big one. Automation and AI, these are the big wild cards for sure. I think there is no question that they will have the biggest single impact upon the future of work. The challenge is we don't know exactly which ones are going to play out exactly when. We do know that autonomous vehicles already exist, and that technology will be further developed. We do not know whether or not we will have fleets of autonomous and probably electric and shared vehicles as well in use in cities around the world in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, and that makes a huge difference when it comes to the number of people, the number of workers who would be affected by this. We do know that in recent decades, 70% of all jobs have been eliminated through automation, not through trade. Moving forward, it looks like it will be at least that percentage for developing countries. We do not know what that will be necessarily for developed markets. So that's a huge one. And I could talk about automation and AI, I think, all day, but it is the elephant in the room, so to speak. Certainly quite exciting when it comes to productivity and overall technological progress, but it will have massive, massive effects on the workforce. And the last point that relates to this is that when it comes to the future of work, policymakers are largely flying blind into this space. It's quite incredible when you look at the fact that even statistics on things like freelancers and self-employed have never been tracked by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. We don't know how many people are working in this space. We know from private sector research, but from a policymaker perspective, we haven't been asking the right questions. We haven't been tracking the right data. We haven't been integrating public and private data in a way that would be useful to figure out social safety nets and things like that. And so that too is sort of an urgent call to action, both for policymakers but also for business leaders, that we have to understand the upsides and downsides of the new changes that may be afoot.